where there's a wider variance of opinion between the media and NFL executives. The media, myself included, saw him as a B prospect, a good solid in a very, very weak quarterback draft class, certainly arguable first-round prospect, maybe a second or third-round talent, but solid, good family DNA, moved well, historically accurate, good kid, not a bad kid. Certainly a better prospect than first-rounder Kenny Pickett.
Sports media just got flipped on its head, and nobody saw it coming. Colin Cowherd, the man known for his sharp tongue and unforgiving takes, once laughed off Shedeur Sanders, calling him nothing more than hype riding on his father Deion's name. He trashed his game, mocked his decision-making, and dismissed him as just another college quarterback who wouldn't survive Sundays. But now, the same Colin Cowherd just stunned the sports world, claiming Shedeur will be the one to start for the Cleveland Browns, a franchise desperate for a savior at quarterback. How did we go from insults to predictions of NFL stardom? What did Cowherd see that made him pull a 180 overnight?
The Titans, I thought he was a solid B prospect, crazy accurate, bad offensive line in college, no run game, and against good teams was always productive without a lot of mistakes. And yet he slid to the 5th round. And there's an argument, I don't know, 6th or 7th rounder undrafted, if not for Jimmy Haslam, the impulsive and meddling Cleveland owner.
Fans are divided, the internet is on fire, and even NFL insiders are whispering, did Cowherd just break the biggest story of the season? Stay locked in, this story only gets crazier. The night Colin Cowherd dropped his latest bombshell, sports media froze. This was not just another opinion from the man known for stirring controversy. It was a complete reversal that left fans questioning his credibility, his motives, and whether he knew something the rest of us didn't. For months, Cowherd had been relentless in his criticism of Shedeur Sanders. Clips of him calling Shedeur overhyped, fragile under pressure, and a college star who would crumble in the NFL had gone viral across X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. His words weren't just strong, they were venomous. And to many Shedeur fans, it felt personal. But now, Cowherd had uttered the unthinkable. Shedeur Sanders could start for the Cleveland Browns right now. Just 8 words, but they hit like a thunderclap. The same man who once trashed Shedeur as nothing more than Deion's son was suddenly predicting NFL starter status. Instantly, the internet exploded. Akin Sports Center reposted the clip with the caption, "Did Colin just crown Shedeur?" Ba Cowherd, young Shedeur Sanders fan reactions poured in. Bro was hating last month. Now he's leading the fan club. He must have gotten a call from Deion himself. No way this is genuine. If Cowherd says it, it must mean Shedeur already got workouts with the Browns. The Cleveland Browns fan base, already exhausted from years of QB instability, perked up. Could this really be their future? For a franchise haunted by busts and plagued by inconsistency, the idea of a young, charismatic leader like Shedeur under center sounded like salvation. But the credibility of the statement hinged on one thing: Colin Cowherd's history of trash talk. Let's rewind. Back in September, during Colorado's rocky stretch in the college football season, Cowherd went on air and laughed, saying, "Shedeur Sanders has zero pocket awareness. None. He can't read defenses at an NFL level. If he's drafted, he'll be a backup at best. People need to stop pretending he's anything more than a highlight reel." Those words cut deep. Clips circulated widely with titles like "Colin embarrasses Shedeur on live TV" and "Cowherd disrespects Deion's son again." Even Deion Sanders himself was asked about it in a post-game presser, and while he didn't name Cowherd, his message was clear. You can doubt my son all you want. You can talk trash. But remember this, talent doesn't care about your opinions. Shedeur responded in his own subtle way. On Instagram stories, he reposted fan clips of his best throws, captioned simply with a sand timer emoji. His way of saying, just wait. And waiting is exactly what the world did. When Shedeur delivered back-to-back performances that turned heads, throwing lasers, managing the pocket with poise, and showcasing leadership under fire, suddenly the narrative shifted. NFL scouts quietly began to take notice. Rumors started swirling that Cleveland in particular was monitoring him closely. Reports suggested Browns insiders had attended multiple games. Nothing official, but whispers spread fast in this digital era. So when Colin Cowherd flipped the script and suddenly praised Shedeur as ready to start for the Browns, people didn't just see it as a compliment. They saw it as a signal. Was this inside information disguised as commentary? Did Cowherd know something the rest of the league hadn't announced yet? The tension only grew when a rap sheet tweeted, hearing chatter about Browns front office doing deeper evaluations on college QBs. Shedeur Sanders' name has been mentioned more than once. Browns, Unicorn NFL Draft. Shedeur fans immediately connected the dots. If Rap Sheet was hearing it and Cowherd was saying it, maybe, just maybe, this wasn't bluster. Maybe this was a leak. Meanwhile, Colorado fans erupted in celebration. For months, their quarterback had been disrespected, his abilities doubted, his motives questioned. Now, the same national voices who mocked him were starting to eat their words. One viral TikTok showed side-by-side clips. On the left, Cowherd trashing Shedeur, and on the right, Cowherd praising him. The caption read, "From hater to believer in 30 days." Classic media flip-flop. But behind the laughter, there was also pride. Shedeur had turned criticism into momentum. His play spoke louder than any analyst's words. Cinematically, imagine it like a movie montage. The harsh sound bites of Cowherd's insults echoing in the background, layered over slow-motion highlights of Shedeur's deep throws. His celebrations with teammates, the crowd roaring in unison. Then, silence. Cut to Cowherd on his show, saying calmly, Shedeur Sanders could start for the Browns right now. The contrast was so stark it felt scripted. Inside NFL circles, reactions were mixed. Some insiders privately agreed, noting that Cleveland's quarterback room wasn't exactly untouchable. Others scoffed, calling it just another example of Cowherd chasing attention. But one thing was undeniable. The conversation had changed. Shedeur was no longer framed as a prospect. He was now being discussed as an NFL starter. That shift alone was monumental. Even LeBron James, a known Ohio sports figure, liked to post about Cowherd's claim, fueling speculation that even the biggest stars were paying attention. LeBron earned Shedeur, and while all this unfolded, Shedeur himself stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, just focused on the game. Fans scoured his socials for hints. A single post went up on his Instagram. A picture of him in uniform with the caption, "Focused, hungry, patient." The silence only amplified the noise. So here we are. Colin Cowherd, once the loudest critic, now the loudest believer. The same man who trashed Shedeur Sanders is now pushing the idea that he could start for the Browns. Is this redemption a media stunt? Or the first whisper of a blockbuster NFL transition? The sports world is buzzing, the internet is split, and the question looms. Did Cowherd just accidentally expose Cleveland's future quarterback plan? And that's where the real drama begins. The morning after Colin Cowherd's shocking statement, sports talk shows across the country were in chaos. Every headline, every debate table, every podcast intro started with the same question. Did Colin Cowherd just crown Shedeur Sanders as the Browns' future quarterback? It was more than just a hot take. It was a storyline that flipped the NFL draft conversation upside down. Analysts who had comfortably dismissed Shedeur as a Day 2 project were suddenly forced to reevaluate their words. And fans weren't letting them forget. Screenshots of old takes resurfaced everywhere. One viral post on X read, "Last month, Shedeur's not built for the NFL. Today, Shedeur can start for the Browns. The media can't make up their minds." Shedeur Sanders, Colin Cowherd. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns community was split right down the middle. Some fans, desperate for a fresh start, embraced the hype. "Give me Shedeur over what we've been stuck with. I don't care if he's raw. At least he has confidence," one fan posted. Others weren't convinced. "We've been through this before. Media hypes up the next savior QB, we waste a pick, and we're back to square one." But it wasn't just fans arguing. NFL insiders began chiming in with their own takes. On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith went off, "Let me tell you something. Colin Cowherd is the same man who trashed this young brother, disrespected him, made him out to be some sort of fraud. And now, all of a sudden, he's saying Shedeur can start in the NFL? I'm not buying it. This ain't about football, this is about ratings, period." Shannon Sharpe on his podcast had a different spin. He leaned forward, voice steady but charged. "Look, we can clown Colin all we want, but maybe, just maybe, he saw something. Maybe he's hearing whispers. These things don't just come out of nowhere. Somebody told him something. And if the Browns are seriously looking at Shedeur, that's big." That line, "somebody told him something," ignited a firestorm. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about Colin being inconsistent. It was about whether his statement was an accidental leak. Sports gossip blogs ran with the theory. One headline from a popular site read, "Insider Leak? Colin Cowherd's Browns Shedeur. Comments may not be just a take." According to the report, sources claimed Cowherd had direct communication with an NFL executive days before his statement. No names, no proof, but enough to send the internet spiraling. Even more fuel was added when editor Adam Schefter posted, "Browns have been doing deeper homework on several QBs, including Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. Nothing imminent, but they're intrigued." Boom. Just like that. Colin's wild hot take didn't look so wild anymore. On TikTok, edits started blowing up. Clips of Shedeur's best plays, overlaid with captions like "Future Browns QB" and "Colin went from hater to prophet." One fan edit racked up 2 million views in a single night. And the memes. Oh, the memes. Someone photoshopped Cowherd in a Sanders jersey with the caption, "From trash talker to fan club president." Another showed a fake movie poster, Flip Flop, the Colin Cowherd story, starring Shedeur Sanders. But while the internet laughed, the story took a darker turn behind the scenes. A supposed leak emerged from a Browns beat reporter claiming the front office was indeed discussing Shedeur as a potential draft target. The article suggested that Cleveland's current quarterback situation was far from stable and that bringing in a young leader with charisma could shift the franchise's culture. That, one line, shift the franchise's culture, set fans ablaze. Because to many, Shedeur isn't just another QB. He's the son of Deion Primetime Sanders, a man who turned Colorado into a national storyline overnight. The thought of that same energy entering Cleveland, it sounded revolutionary. Meanwhile, Shedeur himself remained the picture of calm. No interviews, no shade posts, just silence. And that silence drove fans insane. "Why isn't he saying anything?" One fan commented under his Instagram post. "If this was Cap, wouldn't he deny it?" Another replied, "He's letting the hype build. Primetime move." To Sanders' DNA, the tension was cinematic. On one side, a media personality who went from trashing to praising. On the other, a young quarterback whose every move was now under the microscope. In the middle, the Cleveland Browns, a franchise with more quarterback heartbreak than most fans can handle. Even celebrities got involved. Snoop Dogg reposted a highlight reel of Shedeur on his IG story with the caption, "Don't sleep on the kid." Colin might actually be right this time. LeBron James liked multiple posts linking Shedeur to the Browns, fueling speculation that he was quietly rooting for the move. And Deion Sanders? He didn't say a word, but he didn't have to. His son, trending worldwide, was proof enough. As the hours turned into days, the narrative only grew bigger. Sports radio hosts filled segments debating whether Cowherd's words were a genuine analysis, a ratings stunt, or a leak straight from the Browns organization. One insider dropped a cryptic quote to Bleacher Report, "Let's just say this, Colin Cowherd doesn't speak unless he knows he's got an audience. And right now, that audience might be in Cleveland's front office." The statement sent chills through fans. Was this all just talk? Or had the line between sports media and NFL business blurred so much that Colin was basically acting as a mouthpiece for executives? And then came the cliffhanger moment. A report surfaced that Shedeur Sanders had been spotted having dinner with a former Browns player in downtown Cleveland. No photos, just a tweet from a so-called eyewitness. But that was enough. Social media erupted. Wait, Shedeur's in Cleveland? Colin wasn't guessing. He knew. Brown's about to break the internet. The speculation was unstoppable. The story had gone from a single hot take to a nationwide frenzy. And everyone, from fans to celebrities to insiders, was asking the same question. Was this all part of a master plan to position Shedeur as the Browns' next quarterback? Because if it was, the NFL wasn't just watching. It was about to explode. The Cleveland skyline lit up one Friday night, not with fireworks or a championship celebration, but with rumors. By now, Colin Cowherd's statement about Shedeur Sanders had snowballed into a full-blown media storm. And just when fans thought the story couldn't get any bigger, an explosive leak surfaced that left the NFL world gasping. According to a late-night report from a mid-tier sports blog called Gridiron Confidential, an anonymous NFL scout claimed that Shedeur Sanders had already participated in a private workout session with the Cleveland Browns. Let that sink in. Not a casual meeting, not a Zoom interview, a workout. The report described it in dramatic detail. Shedeur Sanders arrived in Cleveland under the radar. The Browns arranged a closed-door workout at their practice facility, keeping media out and staff tight-lipped. According to one source present, Shedeur's performance turned heads instantly. The kid reportedly displayed NFL-caliber accuracy, poise under simulated pressure, and a leadership presence that had Browns coaches nodding in approval. The story spread like wildfire. NFL Insider posted, "If true, this changes everything. Private workouts are not rumors. They're steps toward serious consideration. Year Shedeur Yeager Browns." Within hours, the hashtags Shedeur to Cleveland and Ich Browns Nation trended worldwide. Fans flooded timelines with excitement and disbelief. I knew Colin wasn't just talking. This was real. If the Browns pull this off, we might finally break the curse. Hold up. Is Shedeur skipping the draft process and going straight into team meetings? The private workout leak sent shockwaves through NFL circles. If the Browns had gone this far, it meant Shedeur wasn't just on their radar. He was a priority. And just as the internet was digesting this bombshell, another twist surfaced. A screenshot leaked on Reddit allegedly showed a text exchange between a Browns staffer and a local reporter. The text read, "Kid is better than advertised. If we can get him, QB room is going to change overnight." No way to verify it, but the screenshot looked authentic enough to send fans into overdrive. The comments section exploded. "Bro, this is happening. Cowherd must have known about this all along. Someone's getting fired for leaking this." Suddenly, the narrative around Colin Cowherd shifted again. Maybe he wasn't flip-flopping for ratings. Maybe, just maybe, he had been tipped off about the workout. Maybe his take was really a calculated leak meant to prepare the public for Shedeur to Browns becoming reality. On FS1 the next morning, Cowherd addressed the chaos with his signature smirk. "I'm not saying I know what's happening behind closed doors. I'm just saying when I watch Shedeur Sanders, I see a guy who could lead a franchise like Cleveland. If that makes people upset, so be it. But fans weren't buying the modest act. They flooded his mentions with fire emojis and sarcastic praise. Colin went from analyst to fortune teller. Just admit you had inside info. Brown's PR department using Cowherd like a puppet. And while Cowherd played coy, Deion Sanders finally broke his silence. Primetime took to X with a cryptic message. They laughed. They doubted. They trashed. Now they whisper. We ain't even started yet. Believe Shedeur. That post alone nearly broke the internet. Over 500K retweets, millions of views, and a wave of athletes showing support. Patrick Mahomes dropped a flame emoji. Odell Beckham Jr. reposted it with Even Tom Brady liked the post, sparking rumors that Brady himself had been advising Shedeur behind the scenes. The plot thickened. Then came the shocking reveal. ESPN's Outside the Lines aired a segment claiming they had spoken to two separate league executives who confirmed that Cleveland had requested extended film on Shedeur Sanders directly from Colorado's staff. That was not speculation. That was fact. When pressed for comment, the Browns declined, offering only, "As an organization, we evaluate all potential prospects thoroughly." But to fans, that was as good as a confirmation. The dots were connecting. Colin Cowherd's sudden flip. Reports of a private workout. Leaked texts suggesting admiration. League executives confirming film requests. It was no longer just a theory. The Browns were seriously considering Shedeur Sanders. The reaction across the NFL landscape was electric. Rival fan bases mocked Cleveland, saying they were falling for the hype again. But Browns fans clung to hope like never before. For them, Shedeur represented something beyond talent. He was charisma, culture, and legacy wrapped into one. And yet, the reveal carried a darker undercurrent. Not everyone was thrilled. Critics warned that Shedeur was being rushed into a narrative too big, too fast. Former players questioned whether the media hype was overshadowing his actual readiness. One retired NFL quarterback went on record. "Shedeur is talented, no doubt. But starting for the Browns in year one? That's a death sentence. That franchise eats quarterbacks alive," the words echoed, reminding fans of Cleveland's brutal history with young QBs, names that entered with promise and left in ruin. But even those warnings couldn't slow the storm. With every new leak, every cryptic post, and every fiery take, the momentum built. And then the cliffhanger moment hit. Late that night, a blurry photo began circulating on Instagram stories. It showed a young man in a hoodie entering what looked like the Browns facility. The caption? "Y'all ain't ready." Shedeur Sanders, true, Cleveland. The image was too grainy to confirm, but the timing was perfect. Within minutes, fans convinced themselves it was Shedeur. Comments poured in. "That's him. I can tell by the walk. Bruh, the internet is undefeated." Colin wasn't capping. This is happening for real. Whether real or staged, the photo tipped the story into full-blown hysteria. Sports shows teased it. Memes exploded. And by sunrise, one thing was clear. The question wasn't if Shedeur Sanders could be the Browns' quarterback. The question was when the world would finally hear it confirmed. By now, the Shedeur Sanders Cleveland Browns saga had spiraled far beyond Colin Cowherd's original hot take. What started as a shocking flip-flop was now a national obsession. But with hype came backlash, and the sports world delivered it in waves. The first to bite back were NFL veterans. On the Pivot podcast, former linebacker Bart Scott didn't mince words. Shedeur Sanders ain't ready to be the face of the Cleveland Browns. That franchise will eat him alive, just like they ate Baker, Johnny, and every QB before them. Colin Cowherd saying he could start right now? That's reckless. That's putting a target on this young man's back. Across the league, other ex-players echoed the sentiment. Some felt the hype was unfair pressure. Others suspected a deeper game, that media figures like Cowherd were being used to inflate Shedeur's draft stock. One anonymous NFL agent even claimed to Pro Football Weekly, "Don't think for a second this is organic. Colin Cowherd doesn't wake up one day and flip his stance. This smells like PR. It smells like a campaign." That one word, campaign, lit the internet on fire. Was this all a carefully orchestrated plot by Team Sanders? Did Deion and Shedeur mastermind the media storm, turning haters into believers? The conspiracy theories multiplied. Fans dug up old clips of Deion talking about controlling the narrative, about making sure his sons got the attention they deserved. They paired it with Cowherd's flip, the workout leaks, and Deion's cryptic post. They laughed. They doubted. They trashed. Now they whisper. The narrative practically wrote itself. Meanwhile, rival quarterbacks took notice, and some weren't thrilled. A subtle jab came from an AFC North QB who posted on X. "Funny how some people get crowned before they've taken a snap. Stay humble." Fans immediately assumed it was aimed at Shedeur. Replies flooded in tagging him. tagging Cowherd, tagging Dayon. He talking about Shedeur, no question. Stay humble? Bro, you just jealous. The AFC North already scared of him. Then came the bombshell from a surprising name, Cam Newton. On his YouTube channel, the former MVP delivered a passionate rant. Shedeur Sanders is a baller, period. But don't let these media dudes set him up for failure. You put that kid in Cleveland today, behind that O-line with that fan base expecting miracles, that's dangerous. That's setting him up to fail, not to succeed. His words carried weight. Cam knew what it meant to be hyped as the savior of a franchise, and his warning only deepened the divide. Was Shedeur destined to shine, or to be crushed under impossible expectations? And then came the insider twist. A local Cleveland radio station reported that at least 2 Browns players had voiced skepticism internally about the Shedeur rumors. According to the host, one veteran player was overheard saying, "We don't need another distraction. We need stability, not headlines." That quote hit hard. If true, it suggested the Browns' locker room wasn't unanimously behind the idea. And in a league where locker room unity can make or break a season, that was a red flag. Still, the public frenzy didn't slow. If anything, it got louder. On TikTok, edits went viral of Shedeur walking into Colorado games, paired with captions like "Future Browns QB, walking into his kingdom." Browns fans began making mock-ups of Sanders in the orange and brown uniform. One fan even tattooed "Necker Shedeur toe Cleveland" on his arm, posting the video with the caption, "Die hard for life." But as the hype soared, Colin Cowherd doubled down. On his show the following Monday, he leaned back in his chair, looked into the camera and declared, "Say what you want, but Shedeur Sanders has it. He has the leadership. He has the arm. And if the Browns are smart, they'll hand him the keys sooner rather than later." That statement sent NFL Twitter into meltdown. Analysts fired back, fans argued, insiders speculated. And through it all, Shedeur stayed silent, until he didn't. On Instagram Live late one night, Shedeur finally broke the silence with a 10-minute stream. He didn't confirm the rumors, but his words were enough to keep the frenzy alive. People talk. They're always gonna talk. I've been doubted, I've been trashed, and now people are switching sides. But I don't play this game for media takes. I play for my teammates, for the grind, and for my future. If y'all think I'm worried about what Colin Cowherd says, you don't know me. Just wait. Everything's in God's timing. That single phrase, "just wait," was clipped, remixed, and reposted millions of times. Fans took it as confirmation that something was brewing behind the scenes. And then, the biggest cliffhanger yet. An ESPN reporter dropped a late-night scoop. The Cleveland Browns are internally debating whether to make Shedeur Sanders their top quarterback target heading into the offseason. Conversations are ongoing. No official statement. No guarantees. But the fact that ESPN ran the story sent shockwaves through the league. And just when fans thought the drama couldn't go any further, an even more shocking development leaked. A blurred photo surfaced online showing Deion Sanders himself boarding a private jet reportedly headed for Cleveland. The caption read, "Primetime in Cleveland? Don't blink," the image was unconfirmed. Could have been fake. But the timing was too perfect. Social media lost its mind. Deion in Cleveland? It's happening. Cowherd knew. Shedeur knew. Now Prime knows. If this is real, the NFL season just changed forever. By sunrise, one thing was clear. This wasn't just a sports story anymore. It was a cultural event. Shedeur Sanders, once trashed by Colin Cowherd, was now on the brink of becoming the most talked-about name in football. And the only question left was, would the Browns really make the move? Or was this the greatest media smokescreen in NFL history? This is the kind of story that doesn't just live in sports, it takes over culture. Colin Cowherd went from trashing Shedeur Sanders to putting him on the Browns' throne, and in the process he ignited one of the loudest debates the NFL has seen in years. Is Shedeur really the savior Cleveland has prayed for? Or is this just another cruel setup in the endless cycle of hype and heartbreak? We've seen the leaks. We've seen the whispers. We've seen Dion's cryptic posts and even the blurry photos that may or may not confirm a secret trip to Cleveland. But the truth, it's still hanging in the air, and every new day could drop the bombshell that changes everything. So here's what you do. Don't blink, don't scroll past. Hit that subscribe button, smash the notifications bell, and stay locked right here, because when this story breaks wide open, you'll want to be the first to know. Comment below, do you believe Shedeur is ready to lead the Browns right now? Or is Colin Cowherd just running another ratings stunt? The stage is set. The tension is unbearable. And the ending? Oh, it's going to shake the NFL to its core. Going to shake the NFL to its core.